In today's Leeds news, Elland Road back under Leeds ownership, new head of medical confirmed, Leeds block Firpo's Olympic exit, and more youth contracts signed. Morning folks, Jay here on Thursday morning the 11th of July at The View with your Leeds United news. There's not a massive amount of stuff going around. It's pretty quiet on the ground. It's gotten really quiet in terms of rumour and links. And I just want to clarify a statement that I made at the beginning of the video yesterday. A couple of comments on it. Just wanted to clarify the situation. When I said I was okay with the quiet, that links back to last season under the 49ers, their first window. When it went this quiet, it usually meant something was happening, and then there was an announcement pretty much came out of the blue that Leeds had signed somebody. So I'm kind of leaning back to that, and the hope is that that same kind of situation is happening again, and we can expect some players to come in the door pretty soon, and they want to get moving pretty soon on this one. But we'll wait and see. The hope is there. We'll see if it's rewarded. Also, just to let you know, we will record the podcast tonight with Ollie and Lockie. If any breaking news does come out in the meantime between today and tonight, we'll cover it on the podcast. It will go out as a live stream. It'll be a pre-record, but it will go out as a live stream just to allow everyone to have the evening off to do stuff. So keep an eye out for that. But we'll start off today with the news around Elland Road. And yesterday evening news came out that Elland Road has finally returned to Leeds United ownership. Leeds sold Elland Road 20 years ago during the financial meltdown following the Peter Ridsdale living the dream era at Leeds United, when they heavily gambled on their future and didn't unfortunately pay off. Leeds confirmed that 49er Enterprises had transferred control of the stadium back to the club, and CEO Angus Kinnear said that this now shows a sign from the owners that Elland Road is inextricably bound to the club. Elland Road was purchased by the Greenfield Company back in 2017, who were then owned by the Acer Group, who were part of the Andrea Radrizzani ownership model. And it then moved to a new company called Elland Road Limited back in 2020, also under the Andrea Radrizzani ownership. This time last season, Andrea Radrizzani attempted to use Elland Road as collateral in his attempt to buy Sampdoria Football Club, which, due to pressure from the 49ers, local fan support and Leeds United Supporters Trust, he backed away from in the end, and the stadium transferred across to the 49ers as part of the takeover. Now Elland Road and Leeds United are finally back connected for the first time in 20 years in an incredibly positive move for the club moving forward. On the move, CEO Angus Kinnear said the following: "Whilst this may seem like a subtle change in corporate structure, I know our supporters will understand its broader significance in signalling our ownership's intent that Leeds United and Elland Road should always be inextricably bound." A lot of people are asking about the timing of this. It was confirmed that this happened in March. There's no big secret here. Company House released the detail on it yesterday, and that's why it's gone public. And the Leeds United Supporters Trust also, this time last year, moved to have Elland Road relisted as a asset of community value, which essentially means that should Elland Road ever be put up for sale, the community would have the first option to bid on the stadium before any corporations or companies can move for it. So it's a very positive move, getting it back under Leeds United ownerships, connecting the two back together. It probably allows them to do an awful lot more stuff with the stadium. It is a slight moving of accounts, from essentially moving money from your current account to your savings account. They're moving it from one company you own to another company you own. But connecting the two back together is very important for Leeds United's future, and to keep those two connected together and not see what happened under the Peter Ridsdale era and the hot potato of Elland Road that happened for years after that, and the amount of money it cost Leeds to rent the stadium that they had to because it wasn't their stadium. So it's great to see all that stuff come back under the ownership. It's a good positive move today, and another good strong move in putting Leeds back as a solid, reputable club with all of its ducks in a row and all of its ownership of all of its assets. So good move from that perspective. So yeah, well done. In a move also, just to give you some updates on the medical situation at Leeds United, and Leeds have finally announced a replacement for the departing head of medical, Rob Price, who moved to Derby County earlier this month. Henry McStay has now been confirmed as the new head of medical. McStay arrived at Thorpe Arch as the academy physio in 2012 and did have a spell playing for Leeds United in the reserve team up as far as 2005 as a centre-back, but didn't actually make any first-team appearances. McStay is described as an immensely popular figure behind the scenes at Elland Road. You would have seen him in the videos of day one of pre-season greeting the players. And he's also recognisable as the first person who's usually on the pitch when a player goes down injured. McStay now will report to Head of Football Operations Adam Underwood in his new role, and we wish him all the very best in his role at the club. Now, he's been at the club for quite a while. Obviously, his playing career didn't go the way he wanted it. Left the club, got his degree in physiotherapy, and then came back into the club back in 2012 and has now progressed himself into the top position as part of the medical team at Elland Road. It's a nice story to see an academy player actually work up into a different type of role at the club. So great to see that, and we wish Henry all the best in his role at the club. Moving on to a story that came out over the last couple of weeks and the uncertainty around what was happening with Junior Firpo and the start of this season. In some long-awaited clarity, we finally got some detail on the Junior Firpo Olympics situation. Firpo was initially named as part of the Dominican Republic's Olympic squad and was then named again in their final tournament selection a week ago. With Firpo in the last year of his contract, with rumours of a potential exit and clubs interested in him, and with the fact that he possibly would miss the start of the season due to the Olympics, it was logical to think that Leeds may be looking at another option at left back. However, as the Olympics are not part of the FIFA calendar, clubs are under no obligation to send their players, and Leeds rejected an approach from the Spanish FA for striker Mateo Joseph earlier on. Leeds are now said to maintain the exact same position when it comes to Junior Firpo. Leeds' stance on the situation is simple. Firpo will not be permitted to join up with the Dominican Republic squad for the Olympic Games. Leeds are said to have made this position very clear to the Dominican FA. However, what has come back out is either they are not receiving this information or they have chosen to ignore the information and include Firpo in their squad anyway. Leeds have now blocked Firpo's exit to the Olympics, and he is expected to be part of the touring squad that will head to Germany for Leeds pre-season, and it will then likely be part of Leeds' start of the season. Something that is very positive considering how well he finished the season for Leeds United. Was probably one of, if not the best player Leeds had in that really tricky spell towards the back end of the season, and could see him taking a more leadership role at the club, being a more experienced player in the very, very young group that Leeds have right now. It's a positive move. Leeds appear to be gambling a little bit with the contract, seeing if they can get into the Premier League at the end of the season, then assessing what to do with Junior Firpo. But right now it seems to be that Leeds are hanging on to Junior Firpo, want him as their first choice left back. Sam Byram will cover there, so it means that Leeds really essentially only need to go and get themselves a right back now, and then they've got Sam Byram who can cover both sides if they need that. But it's a positive move. It's great to get the clarity on that one finally and understand that Firpo will not miss the beginning of the season now, unless something dramatic changes between now and the start of the season. That's the information that we have right now. So good move for me, another positive step, and just a bit of relief in that area. It means Leeds don't have to go out of their way to get a left back and a right back for the start of the season. There's a bit of consistency there from the squad that finished the end of the season, so might not be a signing as such, but it's a positive move for the start of the season for me. And then moving on to the youth contract situation, and yesterday we saw several youth players pen new deals and some pro deals for the very first time. This morning we have seen some other ones added to that list. Fielder Reece Chadwick has now signed his first professional contract at Leeds United and has signed a deal until 2026. Chadwick is another one who had a very standout season for the under-18s last season and broke himself into the under-21 side, where he played several games for them as well, scored goals from midfield and a really strong showing in the FAU Cup run that Leeds had last season. Dan Tolson is another player who has penned a one-year deal as part of his longer-term development. And late yesterday evening we saw that Joe Snowden had penned a new deal at the club. A very good player and an exciting player, one that I really enjoy watching when he is in the squad. A very attack-minded player, forward-thinking player. So great to see Joe Snowden get tied down for a little bit longer anyway. And then this morning we heard that Luca Thomas had signed a one-year extension to his deal at the club. The winger scored 6 goals in 18 appearances in Premier League 2 for Leeds last season. A very strong and positive season for him, and we would expect to see more from him this season. So again, really positive moves. They're not signings, they're not big stuff, and people will ask, well, why we're not making first team signings, why are we doing this? Very much different parts of the recruitment model behind the scenes that Leeds, and stuff that needs to get done in the meantime. Leeds will need to have a under-21 base next season, and Leeds seem to be going down the route of bringing players into the club at 16 and developing them into the under-18s and 21s. A difference from the Orta model, where it was to buy players specifically for the under-21s and hope to shortcut them into the first team in a couple of years. So Leeds seem to be now moving towards playing a slightly longer game with the young players at the club, but it's all very positive. These players, they all had good seasons last year. It's great to see them sticking with the club for another year as well. The one-year deals, Leeds will obviously keep an eye. Could be with players not 100% sure if they're going to make the grade or not, so give them a one-year extension and have a look at it for another year. people develop at different ages differently, so there's that. And then the players that are signing longer deals, of the deals till 2026, ties in with the kind of contract that Archie Gray signed as well, where you're under 18, you can only sign a contract for 2 years, but they want to lock those players down. So you can kind of get a feeling for who Leeds feel are the stronger candidates of this youth group, and who are the ones that still need a little work and still need to be watched. They won't all make it. That's just the way football goes. But there are some really good prospects in this group, and we'll hopefully see some of them make the breakthrough. Folks, that is going to be it for me today. There's not a whole lot else to talk about. I'll be back later on this evening with the podcast, and we'll update you on any new news that comes out between now and then. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll be back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. Talk to you then. See you. Bye.